Leandra Riley at Richmond, Virginia, and we have completed 217 laps, not 186 as I indicated a few seconds ago. We're more than halfway through 217, and the race right now is for second position. And here we're watching it. It involves Benny Parsons and Richard Petty, and Petty right up on the back bumper of the Parsons car, shoving him through turns 1 and 2 and down the backstretch.
And all that with a big cast on the foot. Remember, braking. Parsons slips up coming out of turn number 2. Opens the door momentarily for Richard, but Richard is unable to gather up enough steam to get underneath.
Benny Parsons from Ellerbe, North Carolina, is 40 years of age. And a car is high in turn number 4, and that is Morgan Shepherd, as he has a problem in that area of the racetrack, but it does not involve a caution period. We go down to the pits of Leandra Riley.
I'm afraid things have gone from bad to worse for Darrell Waltrip. He has removed his goggles and his gloves. He feels he is out of it. There was an explosion, a pop of sorts when they tried to restart the car. It is ignition problems, but they're working on it.
All right, we indicated that Morgan Shepherd was having a problem. You can see it very graphically. The right front tire is flat on that car, and he had trouble controlling the vehicle in turns 3 and 4 and also in turns 1 and 2, but he has managed to lift the car into the pit area, and now the crew will go to work on it. The crew headed by Buddy Parrott. This is the Levi Garrett Buick, driven by Conover, North Carolina's Morgan Shepherd, and they'll try to get that car back in the race. Morgan, our early leader in this event.
Well, Morgan was also one of the remaining 6 cars on the lead lap. Now there are only 5. Here they are. The leader is Joe Ruttman, whom incidentally, Ruttman today goes after win number 1 in Grand National Stock Car Competition. Benny Parsons remains on the lead lap, as does Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Dave Marcus.
Further information on the Morgan Shepherd problem. Here's Leandra again.
Precious seconds were lost in the Morgan Shepherd pit stop. When his right front tire went flat, it bent the rim of the car. They had to bang it off with a hammer, and the mechanic who was trying to get that right front tire off could not get anybody to hand him a hammer. He had to run back in, run back out, an unfortunate delay of time for Morgan Shepherd. I also see now that they are pushing the Mountain Dew crew into the garage area. He is coming in off the pits. I believe Darrell Waltrip is officially out of the race.
Well, Morgan Shepherd has moved back up to competitive speed out there and will be trying to regain those positions that he lost. The leader is Joe Ruttman. Once again, we are watching the battle for second place involving the J.D. Stacy Pontiac of Benny Parsons and the STP Pontiac of Richard Petty as the cars enter turn number 3.
Running in 6th position, 1 lap behind the leaders and a lap down to that duo battling for second is Bobby Allison in 7th position, Ron Bouchard 8th in car number 50, Joe Milliken, 9th in car 44, Terry Labonte, and 10th and 21, Neil Bonnet.
And we are protected by a plexiglass in front of us, and we see raindrops on the plexiglass indicating the light rain is starting here in Richmond. Let's hope that it continues to be a light rain and will not bring out a caution period, but it certainly looks like, as we look over turns 3 and 4, that the dark clouds are gathering and moving this way.
Well, of course, Joe Ruttman on the radio with the crew. He is probably spying those raindrops hitting on his windshield at this point. He has talked with his crew. They have given him an indication of exactly what kind of lead he has, which right now is basically a substantial lead for a half-mile racetrack. He leads by about a whole straightaway over the second running Benny Parsons. Watch for Ruttman to play a little conservative now for the next few laps while we wait out to see exactly whether or not the rain will hit hard enough to stop this race.
This is the 14th annual Richmond 400, and again, Darrell Waltrip, who is out of the race, was going for his 3rd straight win in this race. And we hopefully will have some comments from Darrell Waltrip in a few minutes, but he dropped out of competition just a few laps ago. The second place battle has lightened up somewhat as Benny Parsons has lengthened his advantage by a few car lengths over Richard Petty, as Benny Parsons moves to the high side of the racetrack in an attempt to go around a back marker. And we do have Darrell Waltrip now in the pits.
Darrell, the unfortunate happening was problems with the ignition, correct?
I don't know. Something.
Can you tell us the condition of the track when you were left it? Was it slick, or were the problems out of the track?
It's about like normal. This track always gets real slick and real treacherous out there. You just got to pick your way along.
Benny Parsons in the number 28 car, still running in second to Joe Rutman. Third, Richard Petty. Now, Kyle Petty is in the pits at this time, so son Kyle having problems with his STP Pontiac. Mark Martin in the Apache Stove Pontiac, 23-year-old from North Liberty, Indiana, is back in competition. You'll remember a few laps ago, his car got way high up in turn number 1 and slid down the banking into or almost touching the retaining wall at the beginning of the backstretch, but repairs have been made to that car, and Mark is back out there in competition.
Well, Mark, of course, officially is going after the Rookie of the Year title, and the most points are awarded in that race to the highest finishing rookie of every race. And Mark, of course, wants to get back out there, hopefully finishing in the top 20 or 25, and he could still be the highest finishing among the first-year drivers. Joe Rutman continues to lead this race, and earlier this week, Rutman was quoted as saying that this was the kind of track that he's run on for about 95% of his career. We're still looking at Mark Martin as he continues to motor around this racetrack. He looks like he's picked back up on some speed, and Martin is back on the speedway.
Kyle Petty remains in the pits. Mark Martin out on the racetrack. Joe Rutman is the leader of the Richmond 400. We'll be back in a moment. 2 laps to go. The J.D. Stacy Buick, driven by Joe Rutman, has the lead. The J.D. Stacy Pontiac, driven by Benny Parsons, is running in second position. The STP Pontiac with Richard Petty is running in third. Fourth position at this time belongs to Dale Earnhardt, and fifth is Dave Marcus. Those are the only cars on the lead lap. Sixth is Ron Bouchard. Seventh position belongs to Bobby Allison. Eighth is Neil Bonnet. Ninth position, Tommy Ellis. 10th is Terry Labonte. 11th is Joe Milliken. And the rest of the field is at least 2 laps down.
And Bob, you know, as we watch these cars circumvent the racetrack, particularly in the corners, you can really tell that the groove is getting higher. It is getting slippery out there. I'm also seeing a lot of left front wheels that are turned to the left as the car is skidding and headed toward the outside wall. It's going to be a little easier to pass somebody in the final stages of this race if you're running faster in terms of horsepower, because most of the front runners are not able to stay right down on the bottom of the racetrack through the corners like they were when this race began. The groove is almost a full car length out from the white line. Only Joe Rutman among the first 5 or 6 cars as he now moves to put a lap on the 5th place running car of Dave Marcus. Only Rutman appears to be able to run right down on the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody else is washing out as they enter the turns.
Well, that Buick of Joe Rutman handling very well as he now has moved around Dave Marcus, putting him a lap down. Now we have 4 cars on the lead lap. Well, ESPN will bring you live coverage of several races this year, including several other NASCAR Grand National Winston Cup races, not only on the shorter tracks like we're giving you today here in Richmond, but also the super speedways. Will be in Talladega, Alabama later this season for coverage of a Grand National race where speeds will be at the 200-mile-an-hour mark.
Well, again, here is a rundown on the competitors.
Oh, and Joe Rutman is spinning. The leader is spinning and hitting the wall here on the main straightaway. The leader, Joe Rutman, has crashed on the main straightaway and is sitting just below us, just across the start-finish line. So a tremendous development here with 244 laps complete. Apparently, Larry, I would think something broke on that car. Rutman lost control coming out of turn 4 and hit the wall in the main straightaway.
Well, Bob, there was an excessive amount of sparks and debris coming from underneath the race car back in the area of either the transmission or the differential at the rear of the car. It's difficult to tell, but more sparks than you would normally expect from a car simply colliding with an outer retaining wall. And Rutman, what a lonely feeling that's got to be. Here he sits sideways right in the main front stretch. Everybody else among the leaders ducking in the pit row, and Joe sits there waiting for assistance. He's beginning to move around and unbuckle in the race car. I don't think he really made much contact with any fence at all. There you see Joe going down the backstretch, coming out of turn number 4. There he is, rather not the backstretch. That is turn 4. The car simply breaking loose underneath him and going into a long slide, backing up down the front. So you see debris coming out. No significant contact with the outer retaining wall. And now the car skidding backwards down the front stretch and coming to a stop, and all the other competitors directly behind missing him. So Joe Ruttman, who appeared to be en route to his first ever Grand National stock car win, is now out of it.
The Upland, California driver, 37-year-old, has climbed out of his race car and surveying the damage to the automobile. And there is damage on the left side of the car, and the raindrops now begin to come down just a little bit harder.
Bob, very interesting situation right now. All the leaders have been in and out of the pits, and right now it's pretty difficult to tell exactly who the leader is. Morgan Shepherd had lost the lap earlier in the race. We're now going down the lineup to see those drivers who are on the lead lap to see who the first one is in line. And it might be Richard Petty. That's a very premature and a very early guess. But we're trying to determine among those cars on the racetrack right now, who are those on the lead lap? And the first one I see is Richard Petty.
Boy, this is a very definite development here. What's going on? The yellow had come out because of the Ruttman accident, and the leaders pitted. While they were in the pits, the rain started to come down, and it's all going to depend upon who did not pit and who stayed out there as to who the leader at this point is. And God forbid, should we stop this race at this point, it's going to determine the leader, the winner of the race.
I'm going to reconfirm it's Richard Petty. Richard Petty is up front. The guy with the broken leg. It's not obviously a broken leg. But Dave Marcus, who also was among the leaders throughout most of the day, had just been lapped before Joe Ruttman spun out. So again, we're saying it's unofficial, and we are checking with timing and scoring, but the rain is coming down quite heavily right now. You can see the crowd running for shelter. Most of the crews are also doing the same, and we're waiting for confirmation on scoring. Now, they do have an option, of course, to have a delay in this race and to restart it. But the rain does appear to be quite heavy, and if we call this race, we got a surprise winner.
We sure do, and let's get further word from the pit area now. Here's Leandra.
I am here at the Richard Petty crew, and they say that they believe Richard Petty was out in front when the rain started. So if this race is stopped, looks like Richard Petty might be the one who gets credit for the checkered flag.
Well, Richard Petty's car moving down the main straightaway. Now, we have word from timing and scoring that Dave Marcus may not have been lapped or got back on the lead lap somehow. We just don't know at this point and are going to have to await further word from the NASCAR official timing and scoring division, and they of course have a handle on the situation. It could be Richard Petty, it could be Dave Marcus. There is some speculation it could be Morgan Shepherd that's in the lead right now. We'll stand by and continue to watch this very significant development here at Richmond, but it's raining rather hard right now, although the pace car does stay out on the racetrack, slowing the cars to a virtual crawl here, at least on the main straightaway, as we wait and see whether the rain is going to continue or let up.
Well, I'll tell you, what a heartbreak for Joe Ruttman. He missed not by a couple of laps, but by about a minute. All that race car had to do was stay together for him one more minute, and he'd be the winner of this race, hands down, with no question.
Well, Dave Marcus in the 71 could be the leader at this point. Again, we will try to survey the situation and get back to you in just a moment here at Richmond, where it's raining.
They're letting me drive again. I feel alive again. They're letting me drive again.